Hi everybody, Tim Hughes here from Digital Leadership Associates. I'm the co-founder. With me I have Johannes C. What we're going to talk about today is customer experience and how people can have a customer-centric organization. Johannes has some really interesting insights on that. Before we start, tell everybody where they can get hold of you.
Yeah, my name is Johannes. Thanks a lot for the invitation. Really happy for that.
Yeah.
And I'm based in Munich.
Yeah.
I'm a strategic management consultant.
Yeah.
And say it this way, they call me right now influencer.
Okay.
In terms of customer experience and especially on the organizational level, as you just said.
And you've just come across from the Adobe summit there where you're an influencer, haven't you?
Yes, exactly. That just recently happened. So, which is also a special thing for me. I'm still struggling with the term influencer. To be fair, basically, Adobe invited me for that because I had a pretty good buzz in Germany right now, and it was because basically they said what you're delivering is actually complementary to what we do, and it was great.
Okay, cool. So we're talking about customer experience, and I mean, what's really changed? What do you see that's changed in the last 20 years in terms of the way that you need to deal with customers?
I think we totally have a shift in terms of the opportunities that we have. Which, when we talk about the digital, for example, I think digital is actually a landscape which can guide us in terms of the potential that we have for a customer experience.
Okay.
Yeah. So we all got those dots out there in terms of data and so on. Yeah. And what happens is that all of a sudden these dots are getting more visible, and we get the tools to connect them. Yeah. And if we're able to connect those tools, and if we're able to align those tools and give them a direction towards the customer, and the direction and the attitude, how we're going to talk to the customer, how we're going to build a relationship with them, then in the end delivers value to him. Yeah.
Do you think that things have changed in the way that we're both customers?
Yes.
Do you think that the way that people or the way that we expect organisations to actually deal with us and interact with us has changed? Because I don't know about you, but I expect there to be I expect nowadays for people to personalise their contact with me.
Yes.
I mean, do you think that that's a trait that we see organisations need to be moving towards?
They have to. I mean, it's right now we get an overflow in terms of, call it content. Yeah, whatever you mean with content. Yeah, but everything is around, and that's like an overflow in the end. And if a company doesn't build an attitude towards that content and towards how you get in touch with people, it's a high risk, because otherwise everything.
They don't stand out. It's just noise.
It's not. It's noise. It's spam.
I mean, I get 100 emails in my junk box, and I just go delete, unless something stands out. And for example, people need to know my name.
Yeah.
I know that I always sign up to all the lists in my formal name.
Yes.
As Timothy, but I'm known as Tim. So if I get an email that says "Dear Timothy," I know that person doesn't know me, so I just go delete.
It's easy.
So
you find your ways.
Yeah. So you do, and then I think everybody finds their ways to deal with that level of spam. And I mean, what do you think? In terms of if I'm as a customer and I'm taking whether it's a phone service or a meal or something like that, what is it that makes me remember them as as a company? In that, what makes me want to go back?
Say it this way. I think it starts with, same as you and me are sitting here, like it starts with like, do I feel understood? That's the first question to people. Yeah. And do I feel understood? In the end, also, if you go a step that further, is like, okay, you're sitting here, Tim. Yeah. In the end, I know that you're British. Yeah, you're like in social selling and so on, and so I use those terms, for example, and you feel understood. You feel seen. Yeah. But then the question is, what do I do with that? And then there's still a differentiation in the end, because if I just respect that as it is, and then in the end I just want to sell you something, yeah, you're still in the spam area.
I'd start backing off, yeah.
Yes, but if I say, hey, good meeting you, and by the way, that's a present I brought for you from Germany, send greetings to your cat.
Thank you. So you know that I've got a cat, yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then it's a different game.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do we do with the opportunities that we have?
And I mean, you know, even though it's knowledge, ultimately what you have on me in your head are a number of data points, because you know my cat's called Tiger, and you have these stored up here. It could the fact that they could be in Salesforce.com or something like that. It doesn't
Exactly.
matter. But the fact that you're holding those pieces of information and you're using that as a way of working with me and personalizing your message to me.
Exactly. That's the point. As long as you or as a company uses the power and the tools that's coming within digital towards creating real value, and real value isn't loud. Real value is more a silent thing, like, okay, I understand and I don't want to bother you. Yeah, because otherwise I'm coming in the critical area. And before I would just give you something which has a taste of I'm not completely sure of, I'd better leave it out. And so it's really a delicate thing.
And what do you think now that, you know, there's a lot of people talk about we're now in an experience economy and world with customers, where customers will remember not necessarily the fact that you sell mugs, but but people don't necessarily remember that Starbucks sells coffee, but they remember the experience.
Yes, exactly. I mean, basically it's all about experience, and I don't mean experience in terms of it doesn't have to be a huge entertainment in the end. It's like start with the reality right now, yeah, and then build up on that. You might even have had, Tim, you might have had a bad experience last time you were in Germany. I just can imagine right now, and that doesn't have to think.
No, I love Munich. I think it's
yeah, a pleasure, and looking forward to welcome you there.
Yeah.
But what I mean is, you might have had that in the past, but in case you're not telling me, yeah, that you had a bad experience, and there's something in between us. So I would have to work against it in the end. You understand? Yeah. And in the end, it's what's going to happen is that what you're going to really remember long term and what affects your relationship towards me is not what I said.
Yes.
It's how I made you feel.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I get it. Yeah. So there's a just up the road here in London. There's a coffee shop, and it's not a Starbucks. It's a small boutique coffee shop. It's got wooden floors. It's got different tasting coffee. The seats are arranged quite differently. We've both been there.
Yeah.
And it's memorable because I think of the experience that you have there. I mean, the thing about Starbucks, which I like, is that actually you can go anywhere in the world, and they're exactly the same, and that is a great strength. But it's also a great weakness, because it actually has no. I can go into. I have been in Starbucks in Kuala Lumpur, and it was exactly the same, pretty much as going into the one in London. So that gives you a certain amount of familiarity, but there's no differentiation there.
Exactly that's a very fair point, because when people talk about experience in terms of Starbucks, there's a huge buzz like you have to be like that. But there's certain points which totally make sense to have them as a kind of role model. But I'm saying exactly what you just said. The differentiation is you enter a Starbucks in Munich and there's a Munich taste in there. So it's a combination of it's like, okay, there's something which people appreciate from Starbucks, but on the other side, I also honor that I'm in Munich. I have they had it in the past, for example, 20 years ago, they really made lovely mugs for each city, for example. Even if it was only the mug, but there was really a local artist or so doing it. Right now, as you said, it's exchangeable.
Okay.
And
so this is, this is for the people that are watching, this is kind of interesting. We can't, most people probably get this, and we understand, because we're all consumers, so we understand that, when we walk into a restaurant and they remember and they say, "Hello, Tim, it's great to see you again," and you kind of you get a good feeling from that.
Yeah.
Where the fact is that they've just actually looked down at their notebook and they know that that you, when you checked in, your name was Tim. But the fact is they took the time to actually to say that. But for the people sitting out there, what is it that they need to do in terms of what do they do? Do they need to implement this? What are we looking for? What are the things that they need to be doing?
I think it's very important that you're aware that it's a complex thing. Yeah.
Right.
So it's not like
I think that's a really important point, that it's not easy.
It's not easy. Yeah. It's not easy, but it's an ongoing process.
Okay.
Yeah. And you need different tools, skills, and especially attitude.
Okay.
In it. Yeah. Because in the end, as I said before, right now, digital age, okay, you got tools like Adobe, Salesforce, everything comes together. That's one fair point, yeah. But then the second thing is like moving to the skill level directly with the tools. Okay, you got a new Salesforce, and it enables you to even better connect those data points, for example. Then let me give you a picture. It's like you've been cooking your whole life sashimi. Okay. Yeah. And because you really love it, yeah, and you still got the same knife as 20 years ago, yeah, and you keep on doing it, and all of a sudden, they give you a machine which does it for you, and you basically, you don't need your knife anymore, which you felt so connected to all the time. So there's, in terms of the skills, then there comes the third point, which I'm now referring to. What is your attitude towards that challenge that you don't need your knife anymore?
Okay.
Why do I say that? Because what we people tend to, and I'm also part of it, I experience that quite a lot, is that because I've been connected to my knife such a long time, I feel sad, like it means a lot to me. Yeah. And what I'm working on with people is, and what really helps, is changing your attitude towards that situation. Because in the end, my personal experience is, if I change my attitude toward that situation where I don't need my knife anymore, it's like, it's done already, that the greatest world-class sashimi is there, and I can use the time that I have right now in order not only to have sashimi, but also to have a mousse au chocolat.
Okay, yeah.
So there's even more to come. I can scale it up.
And I think that's important, that we all as individuals, we know that the world's changing, and we need to change with it. Yeah. And often in any project, the change is quite often the hardest part. Yeah. Especially taking a number of people in an organisation along with you. I think this element of, it was Jill Rowley that said, a fool with a tool is still a fool. And I think we can go out and spend a lot of money on software packages, but unless we've got the strategy in place and the understanding about how we're going to change the skills, or most importantly the attitude, the project will fail.
Exactly. That's the attitude is really key, because also when what I experience, when we're talking about digital transformation, for example, of course the tools, and then the roles and responsibilities and so on, and there's a taste of leadership around it when people talk about it, but really coming down to the heart, to the backside towards it, that's the attitude in the end.
When you talk about leadership, is it important from a digital transformation perspective to have the leadership involved in that?
Yes.
Right.
It's absolutely core.
Right.
I personally say there are pillars towards.
Okay.
Yes. And one of them is you absolutely need full top management commitment.
Okay.
Because you're not talking about that within your whole ecosystem, just this glass of water is going to change. You really need to do the change with or transformation in the overall. Yeah. And someone's got to stand that. Yeah. You will have within that whole ecosystem certain players like Tim or Johannes who are basically driving it. You have others who might be more struggling with it. But if Tim and Johannes do not know that they can rely towards the word of the top management, it doesn't make sense.
And I think quite often what we find nowadays is that organisations work in silos.
Yes.
So I mean, I work in social media. It's something very close to my heart. But there's there's quite often a social media team, and then there'll be social media and marketing, and then maybe sales do it. And so you get these random acts of social going on through the organisation. But without the leadership, I'm guessing that you could have random acts of digital transformation going on.
Exactly. The question is also in terms of when social media was coming out, where do you put it in the organization in terms of responsibility? That's my because I used to work in journalism before. I used to work in CRM before. So basically, for me, when that was coming out, my personal experience was like dots are coming.
Right.
Yeah. So I could connect to them. But a lot of people, like you also experienced, like we're saying it's a channel in the end, and that kind of picture that I had with the dots, actually, we could have done it already, and some did it also in the past. Like they were saying, actually, you know what? This social media can be a driver for our whole organization. And my personal experience is, in the end, it was also because step by step people were approaching, especially when you have that content marketing wave. There's even more about it. People start working in social media. It's a tool for them. They don't write emails anymore.
So in terms of implementation, we need to have a strategy. We need to have the board involved. There needs to be an understanding of the skills, the tools, and the attitude. I mean, what do you think in terms of this customer experience? Surely it's user experience, don't we have it? Isn't it? We have that already, don't we?
Yeah, we have it already, and I think that's a term or not an understanding which is pretty common. Yeah, and it's great, honestly. I think it also helps if you wanna learn how to do the customer experience, that you understand the user experience first of all, not in all details, but you get some common understanding. Because basically what customer experience embraces the user experience, and I'm going to explain it to you. User experience is what happens here on my iPhone. So basically I'm connecting to BMW and so on, and then I get an experience like, is it really as nice, as similar as driving a BMW? Yeah, and that's happening here. What's going to happen with customer experience? It's embracing it as a total. So I have the BMW website here, and it's still like kind of, it's nice, nice experience. But what's going to happen is I'm going to book a test drive out of it. Done. I'm going to watch a video. I'm going to send a brochure to, so all those touch points, those dots are going to be involved.
Right.
And what's going to happen is, and that's already reality, it's already there, that it might be the most sexy user experience that I have here, but the test drive is shit. And not the car is shit. It's just like they keep forgetting me and they'll keep on rescheduling and I'm just thinking, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
So this means user experience, great, but overall customer experience, shit. And that's why it's an orchestra in the end. Every kind of touch point, every dot that you have is connecting towards you.
Right. So are there sort of in terms of we're kind of nearly out of time. Are there sort of like some pointers that you kind of want to leave with everybody in terms of what you think are core for us who now live in a customer experience world?
Yeah, I think it's pretty fair to say that collaboration, I mean, you and I are collaborating. That's pretty fair to say. Yeah. That collaboration, coming back to that picture of the pillars. Yeah. So what really is a pillar you can rely on for building the customer experience? I said before, full top management commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second one, collaboration.
Yeah.
Why do I say that? Because in the end, what's going to happen? You and I are going to basically deliver value to you at home. But if I'm just doing that with, and you're in the same room, I'm ignoring you, and you will notice at home. Yeah. But if we just think of how can we best do it together, it's going to change.
Yep.
So pillar collaboration, and then really think and accept in terms of the attitude. And that's a very, very delicate point. Yeah. Because in the end, say it this way, the opportunities that we have with digital right now, connecting all those points together, they can create value, but they can also be dangerous. You know this discussion with Trump, how it was driven digitally and so on. I don't want to jump into detail into that. But if my personal attitude towards you at home is like, okay, I get an understanding out of the opportunities and where you stand, and I respect you, and I just want you to be fine, and whenever there's something for you I can do for you, perfect. Yeah. And similar attitude also, how do I use my tools? So really also to give you guys, and as you just said, the pillar in terms of working on an attitude and a customer-centric attitude, and also such a collaborative attitude.
Okay, cool. So remind everybody where Johannes, where people can get hold of you.
Yeah, I got a website which is called www.strengthandbalance.one.
Okay.
As you see, I'm pretty strong, and one
Unbalanced.
And balanced as well. And for me, it's like connecting those dots.
Right.
It's like sustaining success in the end, because I'm bringing those together. I'm pretty active on Twitter also together with you. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm very happy to connect.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Excellent.